Rev Tax Director Dafne Shimizu on now. Good morning, Dafne.
Hi.
Happy day, Sabrina. Happy day, Chris, and happy day to all your Facebook Live listeners, and also to your you have this, I guess, this application where you can get online and you can listen just on your phone without being on Facebook. And I've tried it, so great job on that, because it really has helped me when I'm away from my radio and not able to log in. So
we appreciate your support, Daf.
No, I really actually enjoy listening to you guys, and so it helps to kind of brighten my day when I hear your jokes and things like that. I tend to not, if you know me, my sister will tell you I'm not really quick-witted, and I'm not really good at telling jokes. So I always appreciate when people have great humor. So anyway, but I wanted to give you an update, and right out the gate, I wanted to also share, I guess, I know we've been talking about the Get My Payment portal, and which actually we're going to be calling, it's the Guam EIP lookup portal. And we were ready to launch it in this week, and I feel like I don't know if you've ever played football, but my son played football for many years, and we're like fourth in inches, but we ran into a bit of a hurdle. And, I'll tell you, it's actually probably most disheartening, probably to me and my team, because, we were so close to launching it, but we had to make a deliberate decision to not. And I'll share with you, I think if anybody knows me, you probably know that I'm my biggest critic, and I love to get things done. So, that we're not quite done with it is a little bit disheartening to us, but we're going to be working, to get it done. I'll share with you, the other night, my husband and I were watching NHK, and there was this segment which focused on this Japanese phrase, which is Nanakorobi Yaoki, and which I think literally translates to 7 down, 8 up, and it's and basically means you fall down 7 times, but you get up 8, and so we're doing our best, and we're not going to give up to try to get this done. But I promise you, once it's up and running, this is not only good for this particular program, but it kind of lays the foundation for other things that here at Rev Tax, our team has been working to kind of lay the foundation or work on getting done. So, we're not yet done. We're almost there. And thank you to your listeners and everybody for being patient with us. And of course, we continue to have our customer service line, and we're continuing to try to get as many questions answered as possible. And we're still here, and we're going to continue to do that.
Thank you, Dafne. We did have let me just go through. We've had about 4 or 5 different issues that our listeners have been bringing. So they're asking about the status of any stimulus checks, a status for non-filer stimulus checks, status of the next tax refund payouts, and was there something else, Ree? That's what I had on my end.
Sure. So on the status of the EIP checks, if you notice, we've been actually cutting checks on a weekly basis. As of last week, which was the 12th, we had processed, I think, another $2 million, and it was almost 1,300 checks last week. And so we're at about 90% of what we had originally estimated of the 134.8 million. So we're about 122 million, just shy of 122 million in payments for EIP. But we're processing those on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, so that we can make sure we continue to get those out consistently. In terms of the non-filers or payments for non-filers, we've actually already begun to make payments on non-filer forms. So over the last couple weeks, probably people who have filed non-filer forms should have already received some payments. And in fact, because the issue of Social Security and Veterans Disability recipients receiving payments has been kind of at the forefront, most especially, for our people who, we have a very high, population of people who, of course, are veterans and who receive Social Security income. So we've also, just kind of tried to look at our data to see whether or not we've paid, people who receive Social Security and Veterans Disability. And so we've already, begun to pay people out again who have received Social Security and Veterans Disability, who receive that type of income. So we're continuing to pay them. On tax refund payments, if you get into our websites, we have in the gold kind of box in the left side, kind of top of our page, we provide a tax refund status update every time that refunds are paid out. We have the update there so that way people can see what date we have paid through. Of course, Rev Tax's charge is to make sure that we that we continue to remain in compliance with the permanent injunction, which requires that we make payments, no more than 6 months after the due date or the date filed, whichever's later. And so right now we're still at January 27. We did not process refunds in the last week, and so we will get an update on that in this coming week to see where we're able to get to. But that's something that we actually coordinate with, of course, the Department of Administration on, because with regards to our role is to process, and of course, the role of DOA and Treasurer of Guam is to make sure that there's coordination in terms of cash management.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned 122 has been paid out, right, out of the 134 estimated to be for the EIP?
Yeah, so about 121.98 million has been paid out. And so, go ahead. Sorry, Sabrina.
So the remaining balance, do we have that in our coffers, or are we waiting for another payment from the feds?
Back on May 6th, we did receive $107.8 million. And then I believe on Monday, which was May 18, we got confirmation from the Department of Revenue and the Department of Administration that we had received another 21.1 million. So of the 134.8, we received about 131 million so far. And of course, that means that there's a couple million left that we have left to receive from the Treasury. Okay. Our team, actually, we've been talking about, because, we've been processing over the last couple weeks about a couple million each week. So we've already been discussing, working to get that additional 2 million from the Treasury. And then, of course, the Treasury and the IRS, they recognize that, this EIP payment, even cross-nation, it's unprecedented. And, of course, we, even when we did our estimate, couldn't have contemplated, we did our best to estimate, how many non-filers we would have. But because we didn't have that data, of course, we had to, again, just make our best guess estimate. And so if there is a need, of course, to go above the 134.8, for whatever reason, those are things that, we'll discuss with the IRS and the Treasury. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they have committed to making sure that we, that our people are made whole and that we are able to make those payments out.
Mm-hmm. Out of the payments that were sent out, have any of them been returned? And where are you with, finding out where they're supposed to actually go?
Sure. No, thank you for that question, because, we're happy that we've gotten a lot of the payments out, and we've gotten over 66,000 payments out to date. And, of course, there are going to be issues at times with addresses, or for whatever other reason, maybe a name issue. And those mail that have been returned, what happens with those is, of course, the return address is to DOA or Treasurer of Guam. So when those get returned to DOA or Treasurer of Guam, then we work with the Treasurer to reissue. Of course, we're in a situation where, of course, DOA and Treasurer of Guam, not only have they been assisting in getting out the checks for EIP, they've also been doing the program in Salapi, and and now they're gearing up, I guess, to also assist with the Department of Labor payment. Mm-hmm. So we've had to, although we have had an established process already in place for the reissuance of checks, we've had to work with DOA and Treasurer to make sure that we're able to accommodate for these additional kind of 60,000 payments that we're not usually that we don't usually have. And so we've actually had to assign an additional person to assist with this so that we can make sure that we do the reissuances. And we actually are doing the reissuances. So, for example, if for whatever reason your check was returned and then we receive it or DOA receives it, those checks are transmitted to, we have a person assigned here at our office at Aragata who receives them, and then when people call in, if they're on this list of checks that are have been returned, then we go ahead. If there's no need to reissue or to make a change to the name or anything like that, then the individual can come in, and we go ahead and we service them up here in Barragata, and we are able to redistribute that check. Mm-hmm. If there is an issue because of a name change or some other thing, then those are of course our income tax team has to get involved, and they make sure that we review the individual's return. We actually have scanned copies of returns, so we can see on our screen what exactly we can identify what may have happened, which caused there to perhaps be an error, and then we reissue. So, I know it's been a little bit challenging, but we've been working with DOA and Treasurer of Guam to address those so that we can get them reissued. Mm-hmm. And, we're doing our best so that people don't have to wait. And, want to thank everybody for kind of being patient as we have had to kind of work out just to make sure that we have sufficient resources to get, those payments out as quickly as possible to people. And so that's what's happening with that.
We had a comment here. I'm a Social Security non-filer. I received my stimulus. Thank you. But there's also another one. I'm a non-filer and I haven't received my stimulus. Daph, could you? And I'm not sure if you did, but where are we on the regular stimulus? Not non-filer, not Social Security, just the run-of-the-mill.
Well, so what we do is actually, of course, it's just basically the same process we have for, we process returns as they are received. And so, as we process, and that's why, as we process, we make payments, and that's why we're doing, payments on a weekly basis. So as we incrementally process, we also process EIP, so we get those out. Our team is, of course, as we've opened up, we are also working to address other servicing issues. And so, we do have people who are dedicated to processing. And then we've also, in this past week, worked to try to allocate additional people to that group. And again, we're really just trying to get to them as quickly as possible. But I'm not exactly sure. And if people had not received a payment yet, it could be for many reasons, like refunds, which, we don't pay out unless they're A status. We also don't pay out EIP unless they are A stat, unless the return is A status. Mm-hmm. So, and the reason being that, if there is an issue with a return, meaning an A status means it's a clean return. If there is a return that has issues, there may be adjustments to income that cause eligibility for EIP to be an issue. There may be adjustments because of a dependent, because of that. And other issues that we're seeing as well on the EIP form in particular, we're running into issues where, it's great because our programming group 100, we basically cut, a net check of $1,100 to you. And of course, for those individuals who may have, have or owe more than the EIP, then they will not, get a check. But, their names and the listing of all of those individuals actually is sent over to the AG's office, I believe the Child Support Division. How it works with any garnishment, and this even goes to GMH during regular refund processing. We receive the listing from the agency directly, and Rev Tax itself, we don't have the ability to certify or anything. Those informations, because they come directly from the agency, we have no control over it. But when we do process, if names are included, of course, those are garnished based on the listing, because that listing is certified by the agency we receive it from. And then, again, we process those checks net. And then, of course, on the back end, the monies then are transmitted, and I'm not sure of the exact process, but, they're transmitted, I believe, from, of course, the Department of Administration, because they manage our payments, or cash and checking accounts, and those are transmitted then to the respective agencies.
Daph, kind of a subject change here, but we also had a comment about the gaming machines. So what is the status of that? Because I know this was pre-COVID. There was a Supreme Court decision. They're illegal. I don't think there's been a stay or granted or anything. So, and I don't even think they're open. But what's the status with that? What can you tell us about gaming machines and the business licenses that these game room owners have?
Sure. Okay. And so regarding gaming machines, and of course, I'm guessing it's called a decision and order from Superior Court Judge Arthur R. Garcinas was actually, I think, issued back in March, like mid-March, right before the public health emergency was called. Now, in the midst of all this, of course, we've been in communication with our attorney, and our attorney representing us for this is Attorney Sophia Santos Diaz out of, our governor's office. And so, the judgment there was no, although, sorry, there's different types of legal documents, and I'm just kind of learning them, but there's a decision or an order that was issued, but then there was a judgment that was also issued, and that judgment, as I understand it, was only entered into the court docket, I'd like to say, in the last week or so. And so we've been communicating with our attorney on the judgment, and in trying to make sure that we, of course, comply with the judgment as as indicated in, we don't have an actual official kind of statement on this yet, but again, we've been in communication with our attorney on this, and once we and of course this is a very important issue. We, as I am aware, and I've been in close communication with our regulatory team, of course, gaming businesses should not be open at this time, and of course they're not part of, I guess, the essential businesses that have been opened. So, they're not operating, that's, one, but again, we, are still working with our attorney, and again, because the judgment was just issued, I believe, in the last week or entered into the docket, so, and that was kind of a separate item from the decision and order from back in March. But we're continuing to address it, and also we've been, of course, in communication with our attorney, and who also communicates with the AG's office as needed, and, we highly rely on, the legal people to assist us and to make recommendations and to advise us accordingly. So, that's where we are with that.
All right. And before we let you go, you guys issued your 4th guidance. That's posted on your website, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty long.
It is. Daph, what's up with this 40 million page? Can you just give us like the Cliff's Notes? Because we've got a lot of stuff to read.
I know, and I know it's long, and perhaps, you can poke fun at me for issuing guidance and then calling them volumes, but, we have so many services here at Rev Tax, and it's important that people are, able to have some reference point for it, and it's not always easy to get a hold of us because we have so many calls.
Right.
So we've issued what's called Volume 4, of course, which, and I actually attribute, if you notice, there are hyperlinks on it, so you can click on the table of contents and you don't have to scroll all the way to, the director's office or technical research.
Right.
You can click on those blue highlighted sections and it'll, in the table of contents, and it'll bring you to the correct section. But basically, it's a guidance which, again, what provides information based on, of course, our branch supervisors, what they believed was important to share with the community about their services. And if you don't mind, I wanted to also share that our driver's license section will be open on Saturdays, beginning this Saturday, and for on June 20, 27, July 11, July 18, August 1, 8, and 15, from 7 to 4. We realized that, the Monday through Friday, to try to get out all the driver's license real IDs, also to try to schedule written exams and get permits to everybody, those, the Monday through Friday wasn't sufficient. So we're going to be servicing our people Monday through Friday driver's license branch only in Barragata. And we encourage people to come in. If you look at our guidance, we had to, of course, extend the validity of those expired driver's licenses and Guam IDs through, I believe, August 31. It was originally going to be July 31, but only because people haven't been able to get their driver's licenses renewed due to, there's such a high demand. And again, we've been trying to service people, but, I know, again, people perhaps may poke fun at me because of Volume 4, but I will tell you it serves as a great guide to our team, and it tells things about business licenses, where you can get it if you need a BPT, or if you need to contact our criminal investigation branch or some other branch. It does provide information, and we're hoping that it's helpful, to our community. But yes, you could find it on our COVID-19 section. And all of our volumes and all of our media releases related to COVID-19 are there.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing more on.
Also, just because you're opening Saturday, Manumco Hour. I want to make sure the 7 to 8, right?
We do 7 to 8. We have it's for our Manumco, our individuals with disabilities, and our veterans. Like always, we want to make sure that we allocate time for them. But, just also take note that we continue to service our Manumco, our individuals with disabilities, and our veterans throughout the day. But we wanted to carve out time so that, most especially for our people who may have some compromised, issues which cause their health to be compromised, that we don't have them kind of in the mix with, the general community. And we try to, again, make sure that, we're such this great community where we really value, of course, our Monumco, and we want to take care of them. So 7 to 8 every Saturday is dedicated to our Monumco, our individuals with disabilities, and our veterans.
All right.
Thank you, Daph,
Thanks,
for
Daph.
also unpacking this reading from the book of Rev Tax Guidance, Volume 4, Chapter.
Thank you so much, Jesus Masi, and have a great day, Sabrina and
You
Chris.
too.
Wash
You
your
too.
hands, Daph.
Will do.
Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye.
8:44.
Are you
we're
making fun of her?
Yeah, I was making fun of
You
it.
better not be making fun of Kathy. Boy.
Got 4 volumes of guidance.
Yeah, and this is
It's
a lot
great,
of
though.
information.
Yeah, have you guys got
I don't see anybody else doing this.
good point there, Bree. That's an absolutely brilliant point. There should be more info coming out. There's a lot of info people are asking about, and I know everyone in the government listens to the show, and I feel like someone should be keeping a running tab of all these questions that people have,
Yeah.
and then be preemptive about it and put out info. It's 8:45. We're going to take a short break. We're coming back with Jack Hattig, who is the director of the Chamorro Land Trust Commission, at 8:45. It's containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.